Welcome, traveler. You must speak the ancient words to... Nah, just messing with you. You ready to play some D&D?
Oh, got another.
Welcome to the party and to this episode of D20 The Curtain, where Oklahoma Theater Geeks hit record and explore our new addiction to Dungeons and Dragons. How is everybody doing?
Oh, so terrific.
Good.
Happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day, ladies and gentlemen.
Father's Day, peeps.
All those dads and surrogate dads out there. Let's introduce the crew. I'm Jerome. I'm your Dungeon Master.
I'm Timothy, and I play Allie.
I'm Kara, and I play Nesrin.
I am Jennifer, and I play Eula.
I'm Jared. I'm Jaide.
And I'm Jody. I play Lapis.
It's like just getting spicier.
Yes, it is. It's just
Well, if I'm going to have to follow Jared and not crack up laughing, then I'm going to have to match. I'm going to have to play top that.
Before we get into our game, we have a few announcements we need to make. So first off, Miss Kara, what's on your mind?
Oh, thanks as always to Sirenscape for the amazing atmosphere and music. If you don't know about Sirenscape yet, firstly, what rock have you been living under? And secondly,
Yes.
check out their stuff at Sirenscape.com. You can try Sirenscape out for free without even registering. It's pretty awesome. We like it. We dig it. And we appreciate it.
We use it.
Without registering or anything?
Or anything.
Wow.
I know. It's crazy. Still, yeah, check it out. We appreciate you.
Absolutely,
Keep doing you, boo.
Sirenscape.
Keep doing you.
Sirenscape, thank you.
Ba-pew, ba-pew.
Then, of course, we've got some shout outs for our wonderful ratings and reviewers.
Oh, we want to give a shout out to Ronix Rider 12. Hey, thanks.
Hey, thanks. Thanks,
Why do I always have to follow Jared and I laugh? Would also like to give a great big shout out to Alexis Small. Thank you so much
Alexis.
for your rating and review. Wow.
And last but certainly not least, a big super duper thank you to Jasmine OKC. We appreciate you.
And your username.
Cool. Today's wise words comes from one of our newest Apple Podcast subscribers, Jordan5236. And while they're not offering any advice to help improve the game, what they wrote touched me so much I wanted to share it with our cast and with the community. Jordan5236 writes, "Great podcast. My job can be pretty depressing and sad/stressful at times, so the escapism is really helpful for my mental health. I have never joined a game of Dungeons and Dragons, but who knows? Maybe one day I will play the role."
Heck yeah, Jordan.
I thought that was awesome.
Yay.
I just thought that was so
awesome.
cool when I read that.
Definitely play the role.
Yes, and we love that you're enjoying the show, but even apart from that, these are really wise words because D&D is an excellent way to escape, at least temporarily, from the difficulties that we face in the world and the times that we live in, and into our collective imagination. So no matter our race, gender, orientation, or even when we personally feel weak, vulnerable, or unseen, in D&D we get to be heroes, and we get to do it together. So we thank you for those wise words, Jordan5236, and we
thank
hope
you, Jordan.
we hope that you'll keep listening and get to know us so that maybe you can be introduced to playing the game through our live stream and playing with us as a guest player. I think that'd be
We
great.
can be heroes forever and ever.
We'll sing like this all night long. So with all that said, let's bring the curtain up. When last we met, our party found themselves hunkered together in Greenest Keep as the raiders and dragon began the final assault that would eventually lead to the dangerous force breaching the sanctuary of the keep's walls. A hulking half-dragon, allied with the raiders, called Langdedrosa Cyanrath, challenges the town to produce a champion for one-on-one combat, presumably to the death, or face the overwhelming force of the cult of the dragon. Upon a request by Escobar, and with the promise of safety for Allie, Nesrin, Eula, and Jaide, Lapis volunteers to stand for the town. The party makes their way outside the keep, and bound by the promise to only observe, they are forced to watch as Lapis makes an impressive show as champion, but is ultimately bested by the arrogant and powerful half-dragon. True to his word, Cyanrath leads his forces in retreat on the heels of the mysterious robed figure that left the town as the battle began. The immediate threat diminished, the party tends to the brutally beaten Lapis as Escobar charges the city guardsman Highland de Campool to escort the party to their home, the Hillgarden Farm. As the party turns its attention to the exhausted Lapis, and Ali surveys the damage to the town, Nesrin, sitting up front with Highland, changes her opinion of Campool somewhat after he displays great kindness to the injured Lapis. After arriving at Seraphimia's farm, Highland, by request, carries the beaten Lapis in to rest, followed by the rest of the party, as a conflicted Nesrin is unable to enter the house, sitting in the eerie shadow of the pyre on which lies the remains of the makeshift family's matriarch. Highland encourages Nesrin to acknowledge her inner strength, and she finds her way into the home and family that she has for so long avoided. The night's dangers past, the group, at once family and strangers, moves closer to the unpleasant duty that has assembled them together. So what would you guys like to do?
I'd just like to look around the house and see what has changed in the past 6 years since I've been in this house.
Roughly, the space is unaltered. You kind of make your way around the ground floor. All of the major elements are the same. Jade's room seems to be in its same location, just to the right of the front door. The stairs that you so often snuck up into your room after the cock's call is exactly as you remember it, down to the creaky steps. There's more detritus. There's more clutter than there was before. Partly evidence of the age of Seraphimia and the busyness of the farm and its two primary caretakers, Jaide and Lapis. There are a series of shawls, short and made for a halfling, that are strewn about the space. But on the first floor, it's pretty much the same, particularly inside. Is there anywhere specific that you'd like to go?
I'm just going to walk around and just take in the environment again. And
I'm going to not go into the house, but actually go to try and find her body.
Just so you know, I thought, and I'm not 100% sure, maybe we'll have to check this. I thought that the last moment was you entering the house, but you're more than welcome to go back out.
I couldn't remember if I went in or not. I thought I just kind of stood there before I went in.
I think you went in after being coaxed by Highland, and I thought the last thing was you shutting the door. However, you make your way back onto the front porch, and it's easy to see where the pyre has been placed, as it's right in front of the farmhouse itself. It stands about 4 feet tall, primarily stone and lumber. And atop it, draped in a shawl, is a small form.
I move closer to the figure, noticing the monument, I guess, and the shawl, and can I reach her from where she's laying, or is the kind of the building, the structure wide enough I can't?
No, I mean you could go right up into it, touch it. It's only about 4 feet tall, and her body's at the very top of it. So you're roughly talking about 5 feet.
Okay.
To reach out.
I move forward and stand over her figure, and I lean down and kind of rest my head on her shoulder and lay there kind of one last time.
Right. The night air is still. There's distant sound of Greenest trying to put itself back together even in these early morning hours. But the stillness and the familiarity of the farm washes over you for the first time in nearly 6.5 years, Nesrin. you so often held this position in your youth. Her reminding you that you were of value. Her sharing her bedtime stories with you. Her putting an end to some misunderstanding between you and Eula. But in this moment, it's missing that familiar heartbeat and warmth.
I move away and stand above her, and I just kind of step back away from it all. I don't leave, but I don't stay close. And I just stand there.
There's no sound with the exception of familiar cricket chirping and the occasional bleat or moo of livestock. This is your home, but the single most important element is no longer present.
I'm going to go into the kitchen and start preparing a meal for everyone.
Okay, good to know. Does anybody else have anything?
I head to the barn to see if any of the animals that I remember are still existing, still around.
You make your way into the closed barn. However, because of the nature of the farm's owner, it is never locked. Not to human hand, but secured so that animals can't get out. And you can almost hear her voice as you lift the bar, and her reminder that if someone is in need of food so greatly that they would steal it, then perhaps we should offer it to them freely. As you slip in between the cracks of the door, the cacophony of animals quiets, and they take note of you. And then, almost as though they recognize that it's safe, they return to their normal sound. There is no panic in their voices. They recognize the smell. Even though some of these animals are new, many of them are familiar to you on sight. This is your home. This is the farm you grew up on. I need you to make a constitution check.
Okie doke. What is my constitution? Okay. Oop. 15.
Your emotions are all over the place, and you're flooded with all of her lessons. And interestingly enough, almost as prominent is the competition you shared with Eula. Her adventurous nature, her strong personal spirit in juxtaposition to your sense of fantasy and sense of adoration for those things elegant and fine. It starts to make your heartbeat race as you can feel emotion flooding you, and yet you're able to suppress this urge to cry.
I draw back in the tears, that feeling that you are going to cry, but you somehow suck them back into your face. And I acknowledge the animals that I recognize with the gentle pat and find a feed bucket and empty it out and leave the barn and head towards the, I think it was a creek, river, whatever, where the white bark trees are.
All right. For the purposes of brevity, I'll say you make that journey. It's not a short travel. It takes a little time to get there, so it'll take you about 15 to 20 minutes.
Okay.
roughly to make that trek, in which time the travel is uneventful, with the exception of
I collect rocks that I noticed are ornamental looking and flowers as I make my way there into the bucket.
collect them in the bucket. I see. Gotcha.
Mhm.
Gotcha.
So nothing happens on my way there.
Not on your way.
Good.
It's relatively quiet. It's relatively still. You can hear, the continued movement and activity coming from Grenest, as though they're getting right to work on rebuilding what they've lost. But beyond that, you don't come into any contact with anything on your way to the tree.
I arrived at the tree, I remove some of the white bark from the tree and then take a leaf and as well take some of the sap. I roll it up in a leaf.
Are you sure that it's in a leaf? Because
Smell like fart. Smell like fart.
Some of that fart tea.
I be sure to kind of close my cloak over my face
so you don't sell it. Okay.
as I remove the sap from the tree, as it is quite odorous.
All right, go ahead and make a nature check.
Okay.
I'm gonna have you make this nature check, and it'll determine kind of how long it takes this to you to do this successfully.
That would just be a 15.
All right, so it's gonna take you, I don't know, roughly about 10 minutes to get what you want and to be able to secure it without losing it, and to be able to maintain it as you travel. But that's what you're doing for the next 10 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes.
Okay.
Is there anything else in the house that we need to deal with?
I would like to gently, without waking Lapis, I would like to go place my hand near the cracks on her face and use healing hands, which is my Osmar ability. And Lapis, while you're sleeping, you gain 3 hit points.
There you go.
Not that it matters so much as it's just the gesture.
Absolutely. Eula, this is the first time you've actually had a chance to feel what her skin feels like, particularly the skin on her face. And it feels like earth that has been incredibly dried out. It is like putting your hand on the ground of a desert. And while her skin appears relatively normal from a distance, with the exception of its fissures, it doesn't feel like human skin. It feels hard. It feels rockish and rough. Make a history check.
This will be interesting.
Oh, digital dice. Ooh. Oh, no, not digital dice.
Ooh, natural 17.
Okay.
I would have been shocked if she was using digital dice.
Yeah, me too. I was like, what? I was freaking out.
Like, who
What that
is
thunk?
she? Get her out of here. That's not Jennifer.
It's not my wife. In that moment,
So right.
it occurs to you that she has never allowed herself to be touched by you. You've never touched her, and she's never touched you. But you have seen her touch one of your member. In that moment, it occurs to you.
I come up behind her, grabbing a couple of the shawls and place them over Lapis. Is she going to be okay?
I think she's going to be fine. Physically, I guess.
Yeah.
Allie, when she was hurting that man, she liked him more than she liked it.
Yeah. And we all have little demons.
That's a pretty big
I
demon.
know. That's, something that she has to work through. I mean, we all have things that we got to work through, right?
Yeah.
But let me look at you. I haven't seen you in 6 years. My God, you're beautiful.
Do you like my coat?
I do. Very stylish.
I like your coat too.
Thank you. It's a little worn and tattered. So what have you been up to? I push back to arm's length and just get a big look at her and just look her up head to toe.
I am dressed very well. And before, I was always Anna Green Gables pants with tears in them. I'm dressed very well.
You look so fashionable and stylish. What have you been up to, girl?
Well, I was at the temple, the Morning Glow Tower. I was in Daggerford, and, I studied with the other acolytes. I did okay.
I mean, look at you. You look more than okay.
What have you been doing, Allie?
Oh, you know me. Just trying to get by.
Well, I have to say, the last I saw you, you were milking a cow. And now you've mastered the sword.
Yeah. I wouldn't say mastered, but I'm working on it. Slowly but surely.
They're beautiful.
Yeah. They were a gift.
Did you sing a sweet song?
My voice isn't that strong. Did a little dance, though.
I bet you did.
Played a little song, did a little dance.
Do you know what Nessie was doing?
No, not really. He's been pretty tight-lipped about everything. When did you get back here?
3 or 4 days ago. I was here for the end with Mama.
How was she?
She didn't have much to say by the time I got here. She was pretty far gone. But I'm glad I got to say goodbye,
Yeah.
I don't say that to hurt your
No,
feelings, Allie.
no. I'm okay. I mean, honestly, Mom and I didn't leave things on the best of terms, but
What happened?
It's a long story, and God, you remind me so much of her too. You know that?
Is it because I'm godly?
That's part of it, but she had that good heart that you have. I think out of all of us, you're most like her. I've thought about you in these past years. Not just thinking what would Mama do, but what would Eula do? And when I did something that you or Mama would disapprove of, I could just hear your eyes roll at me.
I've learned something, and I think I learned it best tonight when Lapis was turning that man's leg inside out. I learned that there's right and there's good, and sometimes good isn't right. Do you know what I mean?
A little. I mean, there's so many different shades of gray.
That's kind of what I mean. It was right to make that guy. He was a bad guy. He was hurting people. It was right to make him tell us what he knew, but it didn't feel very good. You know?
I know. But we did what we had to do. I mean, Lapis wasn't alone there. I was there too.
Yeah.
And, I mean, don't think too hard on her.
There was more than getting truth. There was more to it. It meant more to her than getting the truth from that man. Hurting him meant something more. You know?
Yeah. I don't know Lapis as much as you do, so I don't know what her story is. So I don't
know her very well either, but I know people pretty well. But the sun's going to come up soon.
Yeah.
And I have to greet the dawn, so I'm going to go sit with Mama while the sun rises, okay?
Hey.
And then I'll come rest.
Come here. Just engulf her in a big old hug.
I've missed you, Allie.
I miss you, Eula. You look great.
I'll see you in a little bit. I'm going to go sit by the pyre and watch the sunrise with Mama.
Okay. It's roughly about 5:30 in the morning.
Sun will be up soon.
Yeah, it'll probably be about another half hour to 45 minutes.
Still with my eyes closed, I'm going to reach out in the direction of where Allie is.
Okay.
Just reaching a hand out towards Allie.
All right.
Hey, you okay?
Allie.
Yeah.
I never got to know any of you much other than Jaide. Your mother loved you more than you could ever imagine. She told me the most beautiful stories of all of you playing as children and the happiness that you had together. And I vowed to her before she left this earth that I would always protect you no matter what that took. I have not always been a good person, but I will always, always protect you no matter what. And I drop my hand.
I grab her hand and I sit down. I look around and make sure that we're sort of alone. Because Ness is gone, Eula left. Jaide's not in here, right? It's just us two.
He's in the kitchen. He is within earshot, but if he's busying himself with cooking, then there's noise.
Yeah, I'm not being loud, but I'm also not. I'm not trying to necessarily. I'm just trying to make a meal. Yeah.
So there's noise that covers a little bit of what you're doing.
Okay. I just sit down next to her and say, you know, Mom and I never saw eye to eye on some of my activities. And I was never the best of people. And I know she loved me, and I loved her. And I know you probably have things in your past too. But the fact that you've been here, looking after her and looking after Jaide, I don't think I could ever repay you for all that. You're part of this family, Lapis. Like it or not.
You are so lucky to have the mother you had. I would have given anything to have had a parent.
Yeah. You could have had her. You've had her for the past 6 years.
You had a beautiful childhood.
I did. But you don't have to protect us. We love you by our side and you're part of this family, but you can stand down now. We can take care of ourselves.
You know, your mother told me right before she passed. She was talking about Jaide. And she told me, she said, never let the world harden him. The world needs more souls like his, only it doesn't know it. if I have to take on the hardness to keep him from having to, that is something I am willing to do. And if that means being cruel, and if it means going back to the dark places of my past, I will do it. I will do that for him.
Well, you're not going to have to do it alone. I'm here. I will not let you go out there alone. I agree. I mean, I want Jade to be, I don't know, tonight when he was out there, he's not the little brother that I remember.
He's strong.
Yeah.
But I don't want him to harden, Allie.
No, I don't either.
I don't want him to ever have to be me.
I know. I feel the same way.
It's good.
That's the thing about families. Like it or not.
I think I like family.
Yeah, they have some pros and cons, don't they?
I wouldn't know.
Trust me. As a con, I know. Get some rest.
And I fall back asleep.
Okay. I'll probably work my way upstairs and go into Mama's room.
Okay.
And just look around. Is her pan flute there?
You walk up the stairs to your left into that familiar door at the end of the hallway. And the door is shut, but not locked. You make entrance into the room and find a pristine version of the room she occupied while you were there. Sitting on her side table, there is a collection of herbs in a mortar and pestle, fresh flowers, and underneath, on a small shelf, wrapped in burlap, is a tiny package. On it has been written in charcoal, "To my son."
I pick it up. Can I tell what it is by the wrapping without opening it?
You can't tell without opening it. No, it has been, you feel it, and it doesn't feel like a pan flute alone. It just feels like a package of sorts. Maybe it's been wrapped in multiple layers. It's hard to tell.
No way to tell if it's for me or for Jade.
There's no way to tell if it's for you or for Jade by what's written on it. However, Jade has been here.
Okay. I'm going to just take it and pocket it for now.
Okay.
And look around the room. Do I see her pan flute or anything?
You don't.
Okay. Then I'll just quietly leave the room and then go to my own room.
I was gonna say, did you want to look around?
I'm not gonna rifle through things.
Yeah, but you don't see it at a glance, no.
Okay. And then I'll quietly close the door and work my way to my room and eventually lay down on my bed and pull out the pan flute.
I'm gonna have you go ahead and make a Constitution save.
Constitution save?
Yes.
Oh. That would be a 3.
This has been an incredibly long day for you.
Yeah, it is.
Not only the events of the evening, but just your travel and getting here. And you walk into this familiar room, and it smells like home. It smells like alley, and it's a mixture of hard day's work, sweat, and brimstone, and perfumes in bottles where you've liberated someone of something that once belonged to them. But it is an overwhelming sense of familiarity. And in this space and in this house and the finality of an empty bedroom, it's overwhelming to you, whatever that means. In addition to the fact that you realize that you are fully exhausted.
And then I collapse on the bed.
Okay. All right. Nesrin, as you are making the final adjustments to your pouch and to your package of sap, you hear movement. It's slow and trudging, but it is definitely mindful. It is someone who is, this is a thinking creature. It has a drag to it. It is still some distance away, but you do hear the sound.
Can I tell what direction it's coming from?
It is north of you and a bit to the west.
Would it be across the river or in where I could just walk in the direction, I guess?
Just trying to find out the distance?
Yeah.
Go ahead and make a perception check.
Okay. 16. Mid-grade all the way.
With a 16, you can hear that it's probably about somewhere between 60 and 70 feet away, which is telling for a couple of reasons, because at that distance, if someone were trying to keep quiet, then they would be able to keep quiet, probably. But you're also particularly drawn to this drag in the sound. There's kind of a step, a drag, a step, a drag.
I quietly start making my way in that direction, but I'm trying to be stealthy while I do it. I don't want them to know that I am moving in their direction.
All right. Then I'm going to need you to make a Constitution save.
Oh boy. She's 16.
Okay. You are starting to feel the weight of the day, but yet you shrug it off. You take a deep breath. Your adrenaline is rushing. You're not sure if these are returning raiders, if this is someone that has been missed. And so you gird up, take a full breath as quietly as you can, and start your slow, quiet approach toward the sound. I need you to make a stealth check.
Oh. Where's my stealth? Oh, I am kind of stealthy. It's 7.
Okay. So you, hearing the sound, start to walk crouched down in that general direction.
Got a bucket of rocks. What can I do?
Unfortunately, you've got this bucket of rocks, but you've also not been in these woods in so long, and so it's just crackle of stick, crackle of leaf, and you're just making as much noise as if you were fully walking with no concern for stealth. Almost instantly, silence.
I call out. I know you're out there. Show yourself. No use in hiding now. And you know I'm here.
Listen for a second.
Could I still tell the direction that the sound was coming from?
You know where you thought it was coming from, in the direction you were heading, but since you've made noise, you can't hear a thing.
I pluck a rock from my bucket and chuck it in the direction that I last heard the noise from to see if I get any movement.
Okay. Go ahead and make an athletics check.
I'm not very strong.
Not necessarily about strong. It's about being able to throw it where you want it to go.
14.
So you side throw the rock into an outcropping of trees. You hear nothing.
I continue forward just about 10 more feet.
Okay. You step forward, trying to maintain some sense of stealth, although you're continuing to be a bit noisy. You're trying to keep your eyes open. Make a perception check.
Oh, yes. Natural 20. Hold on, but I have plus. Hold on. Oh, my perception's good. 5, so 25.
Damn.
In the distance, you see two things. At about 20 yards away from you, you see a bit of what looks like a bit of fabric in the moonlight. It's darker cloth, and it moves subtly and slowly. You can see a movement almost like a heartbeat, like a swaying. However, just to your right, you feel like you hear movement.
The figure or cloak or the fabric in front of me, what's the feeling that I get? You know, when you come upon something, you get a feeling of like, you don't feel fearful, or it, you know, you kind of feel drawn to it. You kind of have like a sense about it, I guess.
You can make an insight check if you'd like.
Okay. $22. 21. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I can't count.
You're crouching down and you're focused in on this fabric. You can't tell if it's filled out, if it's just you're catching a sleeve, you're catching a cloak from behind. But your sense is that in the time you've been watching it, while it has a pulse, while it seems to have a life, it hasn't moved anywhere. It hasn't gone anywhere. I need you to make a dexterity save.
Oh, shit. 15.
As you are creeping in, moving towards this thing, quickly, over your mouth, a hand.
I drop my bucket and I reach up and grab the hand. Can I see at all what's behind me? Can I?
This, whatever has gotten a hold of you, is perfectly placed out of your periphery.
Shit.
And you hear, I have no desire to hurt you. I am a traveler in search of assistance. I have been on a long journey. I will go about my way if you will go about yours. However, I must warn you, I have no problem doing you harm if necessary. And I have no desire for you to alert anyone of my presence. So you and I are at an impasse, and until I discover what to do with you, you will remain with me. Nod if you understand this.
I nod. I remove my hands from his.
What is your name, traveler? This figure slowly releases his hand from your mouth.
Nessie. My name is Nessie.
Good. It is nice to meet you, Nessie. My name is Nessim Waladra. I am a monk of the Bandit Queen.
I know the Bandit Queen.
A great many people know of her. But do not be fooled by her reputation. She is a wise teacher and a good person. Now, I shall release you. And I warn you, please do not cause me to regret my decision.
I raise my hands up and step forward and then slowly turn to look at him and say, I won't scream. What are you doing here? These are my family's lands.
These lands belong to the people of the Sword Coast. I have returned from sending a message to those who would assist us. I was injured tonight in a raid that came to the town of Greenest.
I was there with my siblings.
Good. Then you know this is true.
Are you hurt?
I will be fine. I need rest. But...
I can get you help and a place to rest.
And why would I trust this from a stranger?
Because I didn't scream.
Make a persuasion check at advantage.
And I'm good at persuasion. 24.
Well, the blessing worked for your dice.
No, 23. God, I can't math. 18 plus 5. Yeah.
I would
Jesus.
hate to bring harm to you, Nessie.
My sister is a healer. My mother just died. I'm nothing like her. But she'd want me to do this. Let me do this. I was a terrible daughter. I failed her in more ways than but she's dead. And I need to do something that makes me feel better.
He puts his hands down, and for the first moment, you're able to, as you've been looking down and keeping your head kind of bowed in submission, you take in his form. He is very dark complected. He is badly wounded in his leg, particularly. His thigh has been gashed open. He has bound the wound, but even still it bleeds pretty heavily. His face is covered in scratches and bruises, and yet there's something familiar about him. Something trustworthy. It would seem that you are a better daughter of a lost mother than you believe. And remember, the dead speak to us always. We must first learn to listen. I will go with you, Nessie.
Thank you.
And he leans up on his staff, kind of releasing the facade that he is well.
I gather my bucket of rocks and then I move forward, trying to offer him some assistance. And
just FYI, when you dropped your bucket, some of your findings kind of scattered. Do you take the time to pick those back up, or do you just pick up the bucket?
I just kind of gather what I can close by, and whatever is near, I kind of gather around quickly, and I kind of offer myself to help him. Does he allow me?
He
to
nods his
assist
head,
him?
but doesn't take your hand and simply maintains his hold on his staff.
Being around him and kind of feeling that energy of just trustworthiness.
Sure.
All of a sudden, she just tears kind of start sliding down her face uncontrollably. Not like a weeping, but just like they were always waiting to come out.
Absolutely.
Yes.
While this is surprising to you, he sees it and never comments, but simply follows you, using his staff as a walking stick, as the two of you begin to make your way back to the farmhouse. And I think that's probably a really good place to take a break.
I didn't die.
I didn't die for the stranger.
I thought it was going to be fucking Highland.
You came back for her.
That would have been creepy AF. And Highland would have no longer been cool.
Squeal.
We'll have a few words and we'll be right back. Hi, friends. Newbie DM Jerome here. Thank you for taking the time to listen to the D20 to Curtain podcast. Fingers crossed, once our players survive the first few events of the adventure, we plan to start introducing theatrical techniques to the game, intended to heighten roleplay and immersion into characters and adventures in order to get the most out of this amazing game that is all about collaborative storytelling. Our goal is to share our experience, and if you will allow us, yours, to become better players, better DMs, and a better advocate for this hobby we love so much. In order to do this, we want to hear your suggestions and tricks of the trade. Please add your voice and expertise to the show by joining the D20 to Curtain community in a few important ways. 1, we ask you to subscribe to the show on iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Your subscription and positive reviews, fingers crossed, will make such an important difference to us and help us improve the reach and content of the show. 2, sign up through our website at d20tocurtain.com. And 3, don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, all at D20 to Curtain. In the coming weeks, we'll be pulling suggestions and insights from the community members, subscribers, and reviewers to help us build a better game. In addition, we'll be reaching out to you to help us name NPCs, build encounters, introduce plot twists, and even through the power of technology, have you join us as a guest player or special guest for panel discussions and interviews on future Behind the Curtain episodes. Please take a moment to subscribe and review the podcast and join the community. We cannot thank you enough for your time, expertise, and generosity in helping us to explore our new addiction to Dungeons and Dragons. And now, back to our story.
Bring on the sword of the morning.
So we're back from our break. We're going to jump right into the story because I don't want you guys to lose your momentum.
That's what we say when we start.
So let's take it from there. So Nesrin, you're making your way and you're going to have a relatively uneventful trip for the majority of your return to the farmhouse. However, your new companion is bleeding pretty badly. And while he is working under his own power for now, that wound is going to need attention. However, you've made your offer. He has refused it and is walking on it under his own power. So for the time being, you'll just make it back without event.
Yay.
Eula, as you're sitting out at the pyre, I need you to go ahead and make a Constitution save.
12.
Okay. The weight of the day is starting to fall upon you as well. And though you don't reach the point of exhaustion, your mind is tired. You're struggling to maintain consciousness and not to fall asleep. And with all of the emotion and all of the anxiety, this time is not restful. It's still, it's quiet, but you're not able to get recuperated even in the short rest sense. Is there anything that you'd like to do while you're out here?
I'm just greeting the dawn for the last time with Mama.
I guess at this point I have cooked a full meal and laid out a table, and I'm eating by myself in the kitchen.
I love that mental picture. It's amazing.
Poor just you, who I imagine doesn't eat a ton anyway, and so you're just like,
I wasn't even hungry. I was just making it for everybody.
A table full of shit. We must be alone with our pain.
Now, of course, Eula's outside, and you can certainly have taken some to her if you'd like.
Yeah, let's say I walk outside with the plate of food, and okay. I don't say anything. I just set it by you, and walk back inside.
Okay. So I'll say that you place this plate down and then make your way back into the house as the cool blue sky is starting to morph into its early phases of light orange on the horizon. In these moments, everybody finding their version of quiet in the house. At some distance from the house, Nesrin, your companion, falls.
I rush to. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
As you get your snacks on.
I'm always snacking. I don't think it would be D&D if I wasn't eating.
No.
Let's be real. Okay. I immediately rush to his side and kneel down beside him and say, we have to stop the blood. We have to stop the bleeding. I wish I knew more about this, but I really don't. And I tear a piece of my skirt off and bind the wound so the bleeding will at least cease.
I need you to make an athletics check at disadvantage.
Okay. Ooh. That would be a 6.
Right. You try to pull it as tight as you can. Just the muscular nature of his leg doesn't let you get much purchase. And though you knot it, it's still loose enough that the blood continues to flow.
I look at him with kind of a desperation in my eyes and say, my sister's the healer. My mother's the healer. I told you I'm not like them. And then I remember that I grabbed the sap, that stinky sap. And although my memory of it isn't very vivid, I remember it being something that was used around the time that Jaide was ill.
Okay. Okay. I need you to make. I need you to make a. I need you to make a history check.
Okay, I don't even. What's my history? Do I know anything about history? I know nothing about history.
Know what? Do you have history with this fart?
This is why the
disadvantage?
farts matter. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you should be at disadvantage. Just about everything you're doing at this point is a disadvantage.
It's 12. It's not terrible.
Okay. You're thinking back to how was it used? There was burning. There was a candle. You used it that way.
It was a story I felt like I heard, but in a weird way, and I
the way that the story has built into your mind, you simply cannot extrapolate the details for the facts. And in this moment, your best guess is to apply the sap directly to the wound.
No.
But that's the best knowledge you have. That's your best guess estimate.
I look at him and I say, I'm afraid if we don't do something right away, you're not going to make it to our house. And I believe this is a healing sap. I can put the salve on the wound if you'd like me to. Just tell me if you want me to. I have some. It smells terrible, much like a fart.
You look at his face and his eyes are rolling into his head.
Oh, jeez.
He's bleeding so profusely and he simply is not able to communicate with you.
I unroll the leaf and it's just putrid, and I cut a little gag, and I smoosh the leaf with my hands down on the wound and press down and hold it, trying to make a compression, hoping that it helps.
You apply this sap into this open, bleeding wound. For a moment, as though something cool has entered the wound, and he releases, and then he changes. His color starts to change. Where this is a brown complected man, almost as dark as I, he goes pale.
Oh God.
You can see that this was a bad idea, and it is further supported when he throws up, laying on his back, and vomit everywhere, all over him, as he takes on the sickening green color. Interestingly enough, the vomit smells a bit like fart.
I vomit in response to his vomiting. And then I take my
The
cloak
worst
and I try to
farted
kind of
things
wipe his
wounds.
mouth, and I'm just frantically trying to nurse him, and then rip the leaf off, realizing that it's not working. And I grab him by the head and I say, I told you I'm terrible at this. I'm going to get help. And I just start yelling for Eula as I run towards the house as loud as I can. It feels like my lungs are going to burst. Vomit dangling from my lips and on my chin, in my hair, just putrid everything. And I'm screaming at the top of my lungs.
Do I hear this?
Eula, make a perception check at disadvantage. This is
Oh.
This is
pretty
one thing
far
I
away.
actually do well.
Do we hear her or smell her first?
One or the other.
Yeah.
At disadvantage is 17.
Oh,
Okay.
Oh.
Oh,
Bless that
you-
dice.
As you're focusing, meditating on the morning, on the dawn, you can hear this vague. At a 17, it sounds like an animal. At a distance, it does not sound like exactly. Nesrin, are you running toward the house? Are you simply calling and yelling?
I'm running towards the house. I don't
Okay.
think I can save. I'm afraid I'm going to kill him, and I'm desperate. So I'm running as fast as I can and
So
screaming
you
as
continue
loud
to
as
move.
I can.
Make an athletics check.
18.
So what we hear, and she begins to hear and recognize that it's her name being called.
I will move in that direction as fast as I can.
Okay, so you start to make your way there. Go ahead and make an athletics check, Eula.
Ooh, natural 19 is 18.
Okay. In about 4 minutes, you get to within conversation distance. You can understand what the others are saying. It's not simply sounds being carried by the wind. But in that time, you've reached her.
Nessie,
I grab her and I'm frantically kind of shaking her around. I found a man in the woods and I think I killed him. Please, you have to help me.
okay.
And I smell and I'm just covered in vomit. I put the fart salvo in it and I thought that it would help him, and he has a wound and he's bleeding and I can't make it stop, and I told you I could never be any.
Just out of curiosity, Eula, make a history check at disadvantage.
I mean, I was there for this. This was my prank. At disadvantage
fart
is
vomit.
a 2.
Oh God.
You have no idea what the fuck she is talking about.
Take me to him, Nessie. Take me to him.
And I just start running in that direction as fast as I can, and I'm frantic, and I'm just saying a lot of incoherent, like I'm never gonna be you, and mother is gonna watch me, and I know this is always gonna.
And Eula takes off running and continues to run toward the direction from which you come, and you're following her, telling her this story, trying to make your point as she is clearly making her way towards where she thinks you've come from.
Yeah.
You make your way back to this fallen individual. He lies on the ground, his breath shallow, blood still moving out of the wound at a pretty regular clip.
And I have
Would you like to-
blood on my hands and vomit and blood on my face and hair, and I am just in tears, and I look at Eula and I say, I kill him.
I'm going to apply a tourniquet. It's his leg, right?
Yes.
I have a healer's kit.
Okay. So in your kit, you've got the materials for a tourniquet. You know this from your experience. It would be best to find some way to cauterize the wound, or at least to sew it together. However, you could put a binding on it to mitigate the blood flow. It wouldn't stop it completely, but it could help you get him back to the house. What would you like to do?
Tell me what to do, Eula, and I'll help you.
Hey, Nessie, first things first. We need to tie this really tightly so I can do some work on his leg.
Tried.
Can you help me pull this really tightly?
Yes, I'll help.
Eula is giving her assistance, but Nesrin is having to take the lead because Eula is going to have to do other things. So At this point, Nesrin, go ahead and make an athletics check with advantage since she's helping you.
Oh, good. 19. Ha.
You were able to put all of your strength into his body, putting your knee against his shin as you pull against it. As you're doing this, you're able to tighten the bandage around the wound, but you hear underneath you.
I don't think I did that right.
It's okay. It's okay. I'm a healer. This is my purview. I'm fresh out of Lathander's gift, but I'm going to try to, at the very least, stop the bleeding as best I can for now.
Do you need a fire? Would it be better if I make a fire?
I can do this, Nessie.
Okay. I know you can. And I try to kind of comfort him. I'm kind of just stroking his hair awkwardly.
At this point, Nessie, you look down and find him essentially passed out. You can still see the breathing, but he is just unresponsive.
I'm just going to try to pack his wound and bind it so that we can get him back. I mean, I can heal him. I want to stabilize him for now, and then I'll heal him in the morning.
Okay. You guys are successfully able to get the wrapping on his leg as tight as possible. It is essentially acting as sutures, but it is keeping him from bleeding out for the moment.
I crawl forward and put his head in my lap, and I'm just kind of talking to him and telling him, I told you that I wasn't the great doctor. I told you I wasn't the good doctor. And I'm just kind of muttering this all to myself while I stroke him with this bloody hand. It's not really helping at all. It's much more awkward. I just look towards Eula and ask her, what do we do from here?
Got my water skin, and I clean out the wound, get the stink sap out of it.
I thought it would help.
And then I have some willow bark, and I'm going to crush it up as best I can, put it in the wound, just try to get his wound and get him stabilized as best I can. I don't have any more healing.
I grabbed the bucket that I had collected, the flowers and the tree bark and all these different oddities, and I give it towards Eula, and I say, does any of this help at all? I don't know.
Nesrin, you produce this bucket, and while it is a shot in the dark, while you were grabbing stink sap, included in the bucket are a couple of hard, sturdy sticks. The fabric around his knee. Eula takes that, starts to wrap it and tie it to the stick itself, creating a tourniquet.
Sorry, DM. Was the white bark, was that actually what it was? That was the healing things? I took the white bark as well.
Was nothing to do with that.
Nothing?
That's backstory
fine.
that belongs to Eula, which now we're going to have to actually put out as part of our content because Leah is never going to know what that was talking about. But we'll just put out the original stories. We'll put out the original stories.
Yeah.
So,
but I think they should see it now.
You in your bucket, you've got sticks. She uses those sticks, builds a tourniquet, ties it around there, is able to keep it tight on the wound, and you hold it with your strength, your adrenaline rushing, and are keeping the bleeding at bay. You're having to hold it, but it is a temporary fix until you can get this wound cauterized. This is the best shot Nassim has at staying alive.
How do we move him? How do we get him to safety?
Get Lapis.
Yes. I just take off running again towards the house as fast as I can. And I'm yelling again for this time for everybody.
Okay. It takes you a little time, Nesrin, to get back to the house. And your adrenaline was rushed and coursing. Eula is struggling to keep the support on the tourniquet to keep the wound bound. I'm going to have you make... Let's see how this goes. Jennifer,
I have.
Go ahead
proficiency
and
in
make-
medicine.
a death save. Eula, make an
shit.
athletics check.
I killed him.
17.
He succeeds. Nesrin, make a athletics check to get back to the house.
I hate these athletics checks. 5.
Okay. Because you are running as hard as you can, but you are exhausted from the day's activity, from having run in the first place, and you're not able to make up nearly the amount of ground you had hoped for in the time in as short a time as you wanted. And because you failed that first check, Eula, you're going to make a second.
Oh my God.
3.
Oh.
Okay. You got to get home before he dies. So you're running, Nesrin, you're trying to make up as much ground as you can. All of these moments are flashing to your head. And what's interesting is that you're seeing images of your youth, of your childhood, of all the times that Allie told you to toughen up and not daydream and do the work, of all the times that Eula heralded her own strength and desire to fight rather than your stories. And it's all coming into your mind. You're thinking about the people you've left behind. You're thinking about the whirlwind romance. You're thinking about a beautiful wedding and the dream coming true and the discovery that that dream was not exactly what you had hoped for. You think about how little of this your family knows. You think about, in these moments as you are winded and running toward the house, this person that you've only known for a few moments instantly filled you with a sense of trustworthiness. The image that is flashing in your mind at this time is not Eula, Nesrin, Nassim. It's the image of a slightly rounded, slightly balding city guard. And the smile that he offers you as he gets you down out of a cart. I need you to make another athletics check.
For Hyla!
This is for Hyla.
Do it for Highland.
16.
And with the 16, you've marshaled your courage, you've marshaled your strength, you push past your heavy breathing. You are making your way towards the house, up past the barn, up onto the porch, bursting through the door to find a household of sleeping people.
I just start yelling, I killed a man, I need help. I killed a man, I need help. Allie, Lapis, Jade.
Wake up.
That'll wake me up.
I've still just been sitting in the kitchen, so I spit out grits onto the plate and immediately stand.
Make a perception check at disadvantage, Allie.
Perception, 16.
That'll do it.
Did we get any rest at all?
Did I at least get a short rest?
That kind of rest that is enough
Can
to
I-
make you mad. Ah, fuck!
Can I see anybody just from standing in the living room? How close is the kitchen? And
You can see Lapis bolt up. You can see Jade spitting out grits and knocking over food on top of
And
himself.
hear Allie running downstairs.
I yell, Allie, and then I grab Lapis by the hand and I signal for Jade. I'm not even waiting for Allie to get down. I'm pulling
What?
and I need you to come. I killed a
I'm
man.
just-
You need to carry him. Let's go.
Okay,
And
okay,
I'm still
just
bloody
lead
and
the way.
vomity and smell like fart sap. I smell so putrid. The house is going to have to be aired out for weeks.
Day in the life of Lapis.
None of this was planned, and it's
She
my
does
favorite
shower a lot.
episode yet.
She's taking my hand. I'm gonna go with her and
I
say, let's go.
immediately follow.
And I
I'm gonna
just start running in that direction,
start running.
All right,
leading the way.
So I'm going to say that everybody takes note of what you're doing, even Allie, unless I'm mistaken.
Well, I'll come down after everyone has left.
Everybody has left out the door.
And
The door is
what the fuck is that smell?
wide
Outside
open.
and see them running off, and I'll follow.
So you're gonna make you're making your way back toward the space. You're still driven with the same adrenaline and push. The others are just kind of keep up with you, as all they can see is that you're concerned and they're concerned about you. Eula, make another save.
Oh my God.
You knew it was coming.
To be continued.
I hope you guys are having as much fun as we are, but until we meet again, we want you guys to stay safe, have fun, be kind, and play the role.
Final countdown.
Wandering Nessie. Listen,
But
I was just
Nessie
trying to
is
get some pretty
wandering
stuff to
off.
put on Mom.
Oh my gosh.
And some stinky shit.